Hey, what's up everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so let's talk about the second round, give you some results and kind of get some reaction. Straight into it, the Toronto Raptors took Jonathan Mogbo, the Utah Jazz got Filipowski, the Milwaukee Bucks got Tyler Smith, the Knicks got Tyler Kolek, the Pacers got Johnny Furphy, the Spurs got Juan Nunez, the Pistons got Bobby Klintman, the OKC Thunder got AJ Mitchell, Memphis got Jalen Wells, Phoenix got Oso Ishidaro, Philadelphia got Adam Bona, the Hornets got KJ Simpson, Atlanta got Nikola Jursic, the Heat got Pell Larson, the Toronto Raptors got Jamal Sheed, the Clippers took Cam Christie, the Pels took Antonio Reeves, the Spurs took Harrison Ingram, the Indiana Pacers took Tristan Newton, the Pacers also took Freeman. What's my guy's name? Can't think of his first name. But yeah, Freeman. One of my favorite players in this draft. Freeman, I've made a video about him. The Dallas Mavericks took Ajinça with the 51st pick. OKC Thunder took Quentin Post. The Memphis Grizzlies took Cam Spencer. Boston Celtics took Anton Watson. The Lakers took Bronny James. Welcome to the Lakers, Bronny. The Knicks took McCullough. The Toronto Raptors took Juric Chomchi. And the New York Knicks took Ariel Huckaporty. And there are still some very good players left on the board. In the undrafted pool, Keshad Johnson took a two-way with the Heat. Nick N'Faly Dante went to a two-way deal with the Rockets, and PJ Hall has done a two-way deal with the Nuggets. So that's who we know are on teams right now. There's some very good undrafted guys, two being Trenton Flowers and Trayvon Brazile. Two of my choices on here did not get picked. Hopefully my Lakers will take a look at one of those guys. Also Jalen Bridges, another one. I just noticed that right now. Did not get drafted. Hopefully the Lakers can put one or all three of those guys on two ways, because they are worth taking a look at. Trenton Flowers especially, the type of athleticism he has. He needs to be taught how to play basketball, but he's a natural-born athlete. You can't teach what he can do. You just got to get him in there and let him show you what he can do. That's what I want us to do. Go get Trenton Flowers. Grab Jalen Bridges too. Trayvon Brazile is also a nice player. I want all three of them personally. Hopefully they're not getting taken up by other teams. But my reaction to the second round, first of all, there was a lot of trades, man. A lot of trades. Teams moved up, down, side to side. I gave you the results of those trades as they currently are. Who knows if guys are going to get traded from here. So that's just where we're at upon the end of the draft. But for me, now that I look at the totality of this draft, I haven't had a chance to put together the first and second round to kind of see who does what as it pertains to what they all got. But off the top of my head, the Utah Jazz got the most value for their picks for certain, because they ended up with Filipowski at the 32nd pick. Filipowski was going as high as 11 to some people in some people's drafts. So not only did they get Filipowski, but of course yesterday they got Terrence Shannon. No, excuse me, not Terrence Shannon. He went to Minnesota. We're talking about Isaiah Collier. Went to the Jazz yesterday. And we also saw them take, who else they did, man? I thought I was looking at the results of that. We saw the Utah Jazz take Isaiah Collier and Cody Williams, J-Dub's little brother. So I think the Utah Jazz ran out of here as the biggest winners of the draft in total, just because they got such fantastic value for everything that they had. Cody Williams could have went earlier. They got him at 10. Isaiah Collier was probably the biggest drop in the whole first round. Well, no, Filipowski was, because he fell out of it. But Isaiah Collier probably could have went as a lottery pick, ended up going to 29, and ultimately they ended up with Filipowski. So those are three players that a lot of people had in their lottery. Utah walks away with all three of them. So clearly they won. I like what Indy did with their second round picks. As I'm just taking a look at it, they walk away with Enrique Freeman. That's who I couldn't remember his name. Enrique Freeman and Johnny Furphy are the two players that I'm familiar with. I'm not familiar with Tristan Newton. I did not do any homework on him. I've never heard of him. So I can only imagine that he's probably a good pick too, because they did great in other areas. Tyler Kolek went to New York. I know a lot of people wanted Tyler Kolek to end up in New York, so he ends up there. I think that's a good spot for him. So long as the coach is willing to go into the bench deep enough for him to get some minutes. But from what I understand, listening to Knicks fans and people who understand the Knicks roster very well, they needed a backup facilitating point guard who can hit some shots, and that's exactly what Tyler Kolek is going to be able to do. So I think that's a great pick. Milwaukee got Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith was another guy that could have went in the 20s in the first round. Milwaukee ended up with him, and I think that that's a very good place for Tyler Smith, especially since I hated what they did with the 23rd pick, taking A.J. Johnson. I hated that pick for them. So they get to walk away with who they probably should have took with the 23rd pick, and Tyler Smith. And ultimately who they probably should have took with the 33rd pick in A.J. Johnson. So it's gonna look, it's weird, but that's exactly what it is. I'd have been perfectly fine with them taking A.J. Johnson at 33. Perfectly fine with that. So all in all, they walk away with the value that they wanted, and I think they do good in the end. And again, they get two very talented players. They just drafted them in opposite areas, so it's kind of interesting how that turned out. What else, man? It's just a lot of stuff here to look at, man. Phoenix gets Oso Isidaro. I think he's going to be a nice big for the Phoenix Suns. I still don't know what they're going to do with the point guard position. I guess they're going to continue going in the direction they've been going. But I like that big for them for sure. That's going to help a lot with their center position. Philadelphia backs up Joel with Adam Bona, who I think is going to be fantastic for them as a backup big. I like that a lot for the Philadelphia 76ers. ATL gets Jursic. I think that's a good player to have. Toronto gets Jamal Sheed. And they made a trade today. They made a trade that helped them get this pick, but they also got Davion Mitchell. So you're talking about matching up Davion Mitchell with Jamal Sheed, I think it is. And those are two of the best defensive guards that you're going to find. I mean, Davion Mitchell gets a fresh start after being drafted high in the lottery several years ago and been playing in a guard log jam in Sacramento. So they moved him on, as I expected they would, since they drafted Devin Carter. It would only stand to reason why they would ultimately need to create a roster spot at that guard position. And they did, by sending Sheed draft pick rights and Davion Mitchell, and also the rookie that they picked up last year, the center out of Europe. I forgot his name, but he was a three-point shooter. They sent him to Toronto too for McDaniels. Yeah, not the McDaniels from Minnesota, but his brother. So he's now going to the Sacramento Kings. So I don't know what the Kings necessarily. I like McDaniels. I liked him when he played with the Charlotte Hornets. He had some ups, some real pop, but I don't think he showed a whole lot last year to make it so that I'm sending that much equity out to get him. I don't know if that was a salary dump in some ways. I really don't understand that. There's another very weird trade that took place today. The Charlotte Hornets sent Reggie Jackson, or got Reggie Jackson rather, from the Denver Nuggets for 3 second-round pick unprotected or something like that. So that's a strange trade. I understood that Reggie Jackson opted in with Denver. They already got backup point guard issues, if I can see their roster in my head. And they sent their the only backup point guard they had out. So I think Denver could be in a position to maybe make a move, try to get themselves a point guard. Or maybe there's somebody that I'm not aware that they have. But they were kind of lacking in that position last year, in my opinion, in a major way. Reggie Jackson and obviously Jamal Murray were the only point guards they had. So they could really use a point guard unless they got something up their sleeves that I don't see coming. So that's something to pay attention to. They're going to make another move of some sort. Free agency, a point guard's going there for sure. So that's something to look at. Freaking Clippers took Cam Christie. I'm so irritated with that franchise, dude. Everything they do has to mirror us. We got Max, they took Cam. It's a good pick. Love the player. Hate the franchise. I really do. Melvin Agenta goes to Dallas. That's another good shot maker for the Dallas Mavericks. So I think that's a good value for them at 51. Juric Chomsky is a player I like a lot. Him going to Toronto, typical Toronto to take a guy from another country that can really go, but it's going to take a million years to develop. That's what Juric Chomsky is. If he develops into what I think he is going to become, he's going to be one of the best defensive players in basketball, probably 2029 or something like that. But Juric Chomsky is definitely a fantastic player. To have gotten at 57 is crazy value in my opinion. The Lakers took Bronny. They could have had Juric Chomsky. Hopefully Chomsky don't turn into what I think he's going to, and we're going to probably regret that. Also, McCullough is one of the players I like a lot, of all-around good player on both sides of the floor, shot maker, good defensive player. He really has a lot of great, attributes that come with him, but he had some knee issues, and that's ultimately why he fell so far in the draft. He actually had a first-round grade in a lot of people's draft boards, and I saw about 15 or 20 minutes of his highlight and really learned to appreciate his game. All of those were pre the knee injury, though, but the New York Knicks are getting him, and that's also who was taken after Bronny, so maybe he was a player who could help the Lakers, but at the end of the day, it was only 3 picks left after Bronny, and it was Chomsky, McCullough, and Ariel Hukporti, of whom I'm not familiar with, ended up going to the Knicks. So the Knicks ate up both of those last couple picks. Phoenix took it, but once they saw we were getting Bronny, I guess they realized they were not going to be able to draft Bronny if we left him on the board. Essentially, what I came to understand while I was doing my appointment today is that Bronny's representation, Clutch Management, told everybody if Bronny was drafted anywhere other than the Lakers, he was going to Australia. So that pretty much locked him into being a Laker. And of course, the Lakers did draft him, and I'm pretty damn certain he's not going to Australia. So, yeah, that's something to look at there. What else? Harrison Ingram goes to San Antonio. I've heard a lot of good things about Harrison Ingram. Juan Nunez goes to San Antonio, so they get another point guard there. I got to take a look at what else they did in regards to the point guard position. They got Castle. Of course, they still have the guy that they've had for the last couple years. What's his name? Brother from the Wizards. Trey. His name's Trey something. I can't think of the name right now, but their point guard position is pretty strong there. That's the moral of the story. They did trade away pick number 8, of course, to the Wolves for Wab Dilly, of whom I still think it's a fantastic move for the Wolves. I think that was really one of the big winners there. And it's just a lot of good, man. It's not a whole lot of bad there. I just think that there's some players that I really had on my list that I thought would get drafted that I'm happy to see may be available for the Lakers to bring in as undrafted players. Trenton Flowers, Jalen Bridges, and Trevon Brazile. I think those are, especially Flowers. If anybody's paying attention to me from the Laker organization, please bring Trenton Flowers in. Don't let him go nowhere else. And I get it, he may not be able to play ball yet, but bring that athlete in, man, and develop him. Put him on our G League team, please, please, please. And also, Jalen Bridges is just a 4-year guy that I think can really help us. I like what I saw from him as well. So those 2 players would be my choice in the undrafted market if the Lakers can get them. I think Trenton Flowers is going to be highly sought after, I believe. I really do. And like I said, he's a project. He's not ready. So if you don't got the time to develop him, or if you're not looking to develop a player like that, then he'd probably be best in a place where he will be developed. But I want him on the Lakers because I just feel like he has a good starting point from which to teach how to be a pro. With all the athleticism and the balance that he has naturally, you just got to teach him the sport. But he's the type of guy where I feel like I can put him on a football team too. Teach him how to play football, teach him how to play baseball. He's just an excellent athlete who's going to have to figure out how to be a pro in this sport. So that's why I'm like, just bring him to the G League and just let him sit there for a year or 2. And then bring him up out of nowhere and watch that you don't have a fantastic athlete, because he's naturally that. So yeah, man, that's what I gotta say, man. That is really the thought. Second round, some of these dudes, like I said, I've never heard of some of these people. Cam Spencer, I'm not familiar with. Antoine Watson, Quentin Post, Ariel Hukporti. I didn't have these dudes on my list at all. And to be honest with you, some of the ones that got drafted are guys that I heard of but just didn't simply look up, really. Like KJ Simpson, didn't really do too much work on him. Antonio Reeves, heard of him, didn't do too much work on him. So I just picked the wrong people to study, to be honest with you. Cam Spencer, as I said, not familiar, man. But Jonathan Mogbo, I wish I would have saw a little more footage of him, because I know he was highly sought after, and he went before Flip, which is kind of crazy because I knew he could be itching into the first round as a prospect, but Toronto took him with the 31st pick, the very first pick of the second round. I thought that was really rather telling in regards to what teams thought of this guy. Mogbo and Chomsky both end up in Toronto, and that is just like the Toronto Raptors to take some dude from couple dudes from Africa and just bring them to you and just let them rock. That's classic Toronto Raptors. So Masai Ujiri, he stays true to himself. If nothing else, Masai Ujiri pick when you see one. So yeah, man, Bobby Clinton ended up in Detroit. I think he could help a guy who's been trying to work his way into being in the draft, itching to get into the draft, but usually pulls out last minute. He did that like 2 or 3 years in a row. He's finally in the NBA, going to Detroit. Hopefully he can hit a jumper because they need it. AJ Mitchell, I've heard a lot of good things about him. He ends up in OKC. Jalen Wells, heard a lot of good things about him. He ends up in Memphis. People are really excited about Jalen Wells. I'm just not familiar personally. So yeah, that's really what it is, man. I think all in all, the big story is obviously going to be Bronny. Going to the Lakers. LeBron James gets to play with his son. I'll probably make an entire video talking about that. But I just wanted to react to the second round here and kind of give you the results and basically the news that's come out so far. And pretty happy about it, man. Pretty happy about it. I'm not upset at all. I like how this draft turned out. I'm glad I'm familiar with a good portion of these players. And now it's time for Summer League and free agency. Free agency first and then Summer League. I can't wait to see what these teams look like with their new kids. And teams got some work to do, but I think teams got better. A lot of teams got better. So that's pretty much my thought for now, man. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.